Every fork stopped, the sound died first, the laughter, the clinking crystal, the murmur of 20 voices dissolving into silence. Muhammad Ali's dining room glowed under chandelier light, prime ribs still steaming on porcelain plates. But the champion's voice had cut through it all like a blade. "My friend Bruce here thinks martial arts beats boxing." Ali leaned back in his chair, grin spreading wide. 20 guests turned as one. Herbert Wilson set down his wine glass. Dr. Cross stopped mid-chew. Terrence Blake's hand froze over his notepad. Bruce Lee looked up from the far end of the mahogany table. His jaw tightened, just a flicker. Barely visible in the soft light, but those seated closest saw it, the slight compression of muscle, the stillness that followed. Ali's grin widened. "Ain't that right, Bruce?" The air thickened. No one breathed. Outside, the Houston skyline shimmered through tall windows, oblivious. Inside, the tension coiled like a fist. Bruce set his knife down with deliberate care. The clink against china echoed. He met Ali's eyes across the table, and the room understood something had shifted. What had been a pleasant dinner between legends had just become something else entirely. Bruce's head moved once, left to right. "I never said that." His voice cut through the chandelier's glow, calm as still water. "I said they are different." Ali's grin spread wide. He leaned back in his chair, the leather creaking under his weight. "Different." He let the word hang, rolling it around like a boxer testing an opponent's guard. "Then let us prove it." The room held its breath. "You and me." Ali's finger jabbed the air between them. "One round, boxing rules, right here in my home gym." The dining room detonated. Chairs scraped hardwood. Herbert Wilson's fist slammed the table, rattling wine glasses. Whistles pierced the air. Dr. Cross pressed her knuckles to her lips. Terrence Blake's eyes went wide, his hand frozen halfway to his water glass. The noise crashed against the walls like waves. Men shouted over each other. Someone yelled, "Do it." Another voice louder, "Ali will kill him, but Bruce." Bruce did not move. He sat perfectly still, his hands resting flat on the mahogany surface. No smile, no frown. His chest rose and fell in measured rhythm while chaos spun around him. 20 voices screamed for blood, and the only man who could deliver it remained silent as stone. Bruce rose, the chair legs dragged across hardwood, a slow scrape that cut through the shouting. The crystal chandelier above caught the movement. 20 heads turned as one. His spine stayed vertical, shoulders loose, no hurry. "I do not want to fight you." Ali's grin stretched wider, white teeth gleamed, "because you will lose." Herbert Wilson slapped the table. Dr. Cross leaned so far forward her wine glass tipped. The mahogany absorbed the crimson spill. Every guest pressed closer, hungry for blood or surrender. Bruce's voice stayed level, calm as still water, because it proves nothing. The room temperature seemed to drop. Few men could stand before a champion and refuse his challenge without flinching, yet Bruce's hands remained open at his sides, relaxed. "If we box under your rules, you win. If we fight under no rules, I have advantage." The logic hung in the air like smoke. Ali's grin faltered, not vanished, just paused. His eyes narrowed, recalculating. Terrence Blake stopped scribbling notes. The crowd's bloodlust collided with something sharper. Something that made them think instead of shout. Ali's jaw tightened, his chest rose, and what he said next would either end the night or ignite something far more dangerous. Ali pushed back from the mahogany table. His chair scraped against hardwood. He stood. 6'3" of championship legacy towered over the seated Bruce Lee. The crystal chandelier above caught the light on Ali's shoulders, casting shadows that stretched across the white tablecloth like judgment. "You are scared." The words dropped into silence. No laughter now, no clinking glasses. Herbert Wilson stopped chewing mid-bite. Dr. Cross's hand froze on her wine stem. Bruce did not blink, did not shift in his seat. Few men could hold stillness the way he did, as if motion itself waited for his permission. "I am not scared." His voice stayed level, a flat plane of calm. "I am practical." Ali crossed his arms. The muscle there rolled beneath his skin, coiled and ready. "You want a demonstration," Bruce continued. "I will give you one." The room lined in. "But not fighting," Ali's jaw tightened. The champion uncrossed his arms, let them hang loose at his sides. His fingers flexed once, twice. "What kind of demonstration?" Bruce's eyes never left Ali's face. When he spoke, his words carried the weight of something no one in that room had ever seen before. Bruce's eyes locked onto Ali's unblinking speed demonstration. "You throw a punch, I will block it and counter before you can retract." Silence pressed down on the room like a fist. Ali's face split wide. Laughter erupted from deep in his chest, rolling and rich, filling the space between crystal chandeliers and mahogany. "I am the fastest heavyweight in history." His hands sliced the air in punctuation. "You cannot counter me." Herbert Wilson slapped the table. "Now that is entertainment." Dr. Cross leaned forward, fingers steepled beneath her chin. Terrence Blake's breath caught audibly. Bruce did not move. His stance remained rooted, patient as stone. Ali's grin sharpened. He straightened to his full height, 6'3" of coiled champion muscle towering over the smaller man. The light caught the sheen of sweat beginning to form along his jawline. 20 pairs of eyes tracked his movement as he pivoted away from the table. He walked 3 steps toward the hallway, stopped, turned his head just enough to speak over his shoulder, voice dropping to something quiet and dangerous. "Follow me." The guests rose in a wave, chairs scraping against hardwood, the clatter of silverware abandoned mid-meal echoing through a space that suddenly felt too small for what was about to happen. The gym door opened into leather and old sweat. 20 guests filed through, shoulder to shoulder, voices dropping to whispers that dissolved against mirrored walls. Herbert Wilson claimed the space near the heavy bag. Dr. Miriam Cross positioned herself where the chandelier light from the hallway still reached. Terrence Blake stood in the back corner, watching everything. Muhammad Ali peeled his shirt over his head in one smooth motion. His shoulders rolled backward, then forward, twice, the ritual of a fighter who had done this 1,000 times. Muscles caught the overhead fluorescence. He shook out his hands loose and easy, the way a man shakes water from his fingertips. Bruce Lee stood barefoot in the center of the rubber mats. He had not moved since entering. His feet were planted. His breathing was invisible. No stretching, no rolling joints, just waiting. The whispers died. Ali stepped forward. Bruce did not step back. The distance between them closed to 8 feet, then 6. The mirrored walls reflected 2 bodies, utterly still, calculating geometry only warriors understand. Ali's right foot slid forward. His left fist rose, his jaw tightened, and Bruce's eyes tracked something no one else could see yet. "Throw your jab," Bruce says. Ali's shoulder rotates. His left fist cuts through the gym air with a snap, the same jab that had frozen George Chuvalo mid-ring. The punch clocked faster than any heavyweight in recorded history. But Bruce's rear hand is already there. It meets Ali's wrist 3 feet from full extension. The trap closes. Ali feels pressure, not force but redirection, his own momentum guided sideways. Before his brain registers the interception, Bruce's lead hand materializes at his throat, 2 knuckles resting against the pulse point. The touch is surgical, controlled. Ali's jab hangs frozen in Bruce's grip, still traveling forward in his mind but stopped in space. Sharp inhales cut through the room. Ali blinks, his arm trembles slightly, caught mid-flight. He pulls back, shakes out his hand. The leather mats under his feet suddenly feel uncertain. Do it again. Bruce returns to center. Hands lowered, Ali throws, Bruce intercepts, redirects, counters, throat touch, repeat. 5 times the pattern unfolds. 5 times Ali's legendary speed meets the same geometric trap. Each time the trap closes faster, as if Bruce is reading the jab before the neurons fire. Herbert Wilson's mouth hangs open against the mirrored wall. But what shook Ali wasn't the speed. It was the complete absence of effort in Bruce's eyes. Ali turned his right hand over, fingers spreading wide as if searching for an answer written on his palm. The fluorescent lights overhead painted his knuckles in harsh white. His breath came shallow. "You are faster than me." Bruce shook his head, a slight motion. "Not faster, more efficient." The mirrors reflected 20 frozen faces. "You throw a boxing jab with full extension," Bruce continued, stepping closer. He traced an invisible arc through the humid air. "I intercept at the halfway point. Geometry beats speed." Ali's eyes widened, pupils dilating. Few in that room could understand what he felt, the sudden shift from champion to student, the ground tilting beneath certainty. "Teach me that." Bruce's smile appeared soft, almost apologetic. His shoulders relaxed, hands falling open at his sides in a gesture of surrender. "I cannot." The two words landed heavier than any punch Ali had absorbed in his career. Behind them, Herbert Wilson shifted his weight, rubber mats groaning beneath 300 pounds of muscle. Dr. Cross touched her throat, fingers seeking her own pulse. Ali stood motionless, waiting for Bruce to explain why a master who could demonstrate such precision 5 times consecutively would refuse to share it. Bruce's voice cut through the gym's thick silence. "I cannot teach you that without unlearning your boxing." The words landed soft but final. "Your mechanics are optimized for the ring, for distance, rotation, retraction. Mine are built for interception, different foundation." Ali's chest rose, fell. The leather scent of heavy bags hung between them like incense in a church, sacred, heavy, unforgiving. "So we are both right," Ali said slowly, the syllables careful, as if testing new ground. "For our game, exactly. One word, but it shifted everything." Ali turned toward his guests, and the mirrored walls multiplied his silhouette into a dozen champions, all facing the same reckoning. His voice dropped, reverent now, stripped of bravado. "Bruce Lee just showed me something no boxer has ever shown me." Herbert Wilson leaned forward, Dr. Cross's fingers stilled against her wrist. Terrence Blake's pen hovered above his notebook, ink pooling at the tip. Ali's jaw tightened, then softened, vulnerability on full display. He just beat speed, without moving faster. The room held its breath. And in that moment, every witness understood they had seen something that would outlive the night, the decade, perhaps the century itself. But what none of them could predict, not even Bruce, was how far the lesson would travel and who would come hunting for answers. Ali's voice rang out like a bell, how to beat speed with positioning. The applause erupted, palms cracking against palms. Herbert Wilson, who had entered the gym with folded arms and skepticism carved into his linebacker's jaw, clapped the loudest. Dr. Cross's fingers pressed together slowly, deliberately, as if sealing something sacred. Ali turned, extended his hand. Bruce clasped it, their grips locked, neither pulling nor pushing, just holding. Imagine being in that room, feeling the heat of bodies pressed close, the air thick with sweat and reverence. Terrence Blake's pen scratched across paper in the corner. He would later say he felt the rhythm of the moment, the way a jazz solo finds its resolve. Hours later, well past midnight, the two sat alone in the dining room. Empty plates, cold coffee. Their voices drifted through topics most fighters never touched: philosophy, the nature of water, the cost of perfection. Word traveled. First through Houston's gyms, then to dojos in Los Angeles, across oceans to Manila and Hong Kong. Coaches whispered it to students. The lesson became doctrine: efficiency over power, interception over reaction. Two legends, one night. A truth that refused to fade.